Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. No, I'm not feeling sick or under the weather. This is just what's left of my voice after all the yelling and excitement and recording from the past couple of days for some new YouTube videos that I'm going to be posting over the week. This voice will probably persist for a few videos, and I know I should be resting it, but as long as I keep it to a nice low tone, it doesn't really hurt all too much. Drinking plenty of tea, drinking plenty of water, and I'll get time to rest it tonight. But anyway, with that, I don't want to let this Q&A drag on too long because it's still not going to be good for my voice. So let's get right into the Q&A. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to. They choose to, and I appreciate it. Also, special shout out to our patrons of darkness, Khuja, Janhyua, and Kurenai Oni, who have gone above and beyond. So thank you to them, thank you to all of our patrons, and thank you to you for tuning in. So with that, let's get started. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. With Bozja being connected to the previous expansion's alliance raid, how about a near theme? Alright, no. I see the word jokes two steps ahead, so don't worry. I'm going to skip to what I'm hoping is a real question. Jokes aside, I would like to see one implemented earlier in the story as part of the initial leveling process, at least the first steps. What do you think about moving exploration content closer to the core experience? I think exploration content being the core experience is not a very good idea. A lot of people do not like it. There's a lot of people who do it, and they do it just because there's rewards, even though they're not a huge fan of it. There's also people who do like it, and there's people who just kind of don't really even know or care about it. Moving it to the core experience, I think, is further away from what the average player would want. And also, the big thing with exploration content is it's supposed to stand out amongst the other contents in the game, usually through actions or a change in rule set or something along those lines. And if it becomes the standard, well then, exploration content itself pretty much needs to become something completely different on top of that. And so you're already taking something that only a certain subset of people enjoy, making it the main thing, and then you have to do something that's like it anyway for an additional piece of content. Then it runs into a redundancy and a packaging issue. Not to mention that they've already said that the bosses for places like that usually go through the same amount of QA as dungeon bosses, so they really can't afford to make that many open world bosses. It's at least not to the degree at which you're suggesting. So I don't think it would ever happen. I don't think it will happen or should happen. And but as for it happening earlier, I mean, I'm always okay with that as long as it doesn't sacrifice anything else or any fun factor of the content itself. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hope you're doing well. Despite the voice, I promise you I am. Same to you. I was wondering if you had any out there predictions for what's going to happen in the Endwalker story, if you're planning on making a video about them. My wacky prediction is Y'shtola's going to sacrifice herself. I don't know what the double sacrifice is for. No, my other prediction is one I've had since Heavensward, is that Matoya is going to sacrifice herself to preserve Y'shtola's life. There's been this plot thread for many, many years that Y'shtola is killing herself slowly by using her ether in order to essentially detect the ether nearby to see. And the strain on her body is something I'd like to see pay off at some point. And unfortunately, I think that means the death of the actual Matoya on the source. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, my good sir. How are you? Doing swell. Thank you for asking. Love seeing the cats on Twitter. Just a tiny question. I think you said it before, so apologies ahead. But what older Final Fantasy games helped mold the Heavensward Alliance raids? None. Diablos is from Final Fantasy VIII. Ozma's from Final Fantasy IX. We have other bosses from other Final Fantasy games, but it's original. It's more pulled from real life history and lore than it's pulled from any of the old Final Fantasies, which is a big reason why I am excited for the new 8 and 24 mans that we're getting in Endwalker, because they're going to be a lot more original than what we've been getting over the past several expansions. And I think when I think of old Final Fantasies, I remember them for the things that made them original, or at the very least their iterations of things that I enjoyed more. But the originality, I mean, it's nice to be able to be, oh, that's from Final Fantasy VIII, that's from Final Fantasy X, that's from Final Fantasy XII. But I also want to one day be able to say, oh, that's from Final Fantasy XIV. And the more things I can say that about, at least for me, the better. No hashtag, but I can see it's a question. Hey, Happy, you doing alright? I'm doing alright. You doing alright? I'm doing alright. Asking in advance for the upcoming live letter. I'm sure it was a blast. Was there any ability that was shown off or changed that you were interested and excited in the most? Summoner and Monk, really. I'll be talking about those more in depth in their own videos, but I was ecstatic seeing the stuff that they got, and after analyzing it a little bit more, I'm even more excited. So looking forward to making those videos once my voice relaxes a little bit. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hope you're having a good day. Same to you. I was wondering what your take on the Tales series was, if you're looking forward to playing Tales of Arise. If so, what aspects of the game you're looking forward to. I have no experience with the Tales series. Let me take that back. I have 15 minutes with Tales of Symphonia where my friend asked me to play the healer character for him at his house, and then he died in one hit to a boss over and over again and blamed me. So I never played it again after that. I have been playing through Tales of Arise in about 20 hours in, and it's really good. I have no particular attachment to the series. I don't think this is going to make me suddenly want to go back and play all the other games. I'm kind of just glad to take it as its own experience, but it's been a good time. I normally don't like over-the-top anime-style stories or RPGs. Persona is really where I draw the line, and even at times, that's a little too... that's a little bit rough for me to get through sometimes. But this hasn't been too obtrusive, other than playing a little too hard into some of the tropes, and so, or intrusive, other than playing too hard into some of the tropes, especially one of the early characters that you get. But it's been a good time overall. I could recommend it as an RPG fan. All right, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, how are you? Doing fine? Hope the same for you. Please remind me how to min-max my Wondrous Tales turn-ins. For the moment, Reaper drops. Do I grab Wondrous Tales after reset on the 16th and then have it ready to turn in, or can I grab the first book the prior week? So ideally, you'll do your first book in the prior week, so on the 9th of November. And then if you really want to, you can do another Wondrous Tales on the week of the 16th after you turn it in. It would have to already be after early access is kicked off. And you might want to grab that book and then do it the following week once you've gotten through the story, maybe leveled your first job. But that would be it. You would grab it on the 9th and then turn it in on the 19th after you unlock Reaper in this case. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Happy Monday. And Walker Hype. Hey. I got a few questions for you this week. Sure. One, is it safe to assume we can use the 3 gems and summons pre-50 or 50? It's not safe to assume anything about Summoner until we get more details. 2, with Gunbreaker getting 1 button for Gnashing Fang, do you think it's reasonable to ask for a 1-button AoE combo too? Well, it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? Gnashing Fang is only getting it because of the overall pace of the continuation combo that Gnashing Fang is a part of. Your AoE really doesn't have that, especially as Gunbreaker. You pretty much still just pop your AoE spender, and then, you're good. So, no, I don't think it makes much sense to do. 3 are going to make guides, share your plans for how to level the new jobs fast and work today. Yes, this goes back to the previous question, but I am planning that. I was waiting till we got more information, see if they mentioned changes that were going to be made. I think it's safe for me to do it now, and hopefully they don't change anything. And if they do, I'll make another video. So that'll be fine. Next one, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps, hope you're doing well. Same to you. Just wanted to ask about some info in regard to the keynote addresses. Have they confirmed whether the full island of Sharlayan is going to be a zone, or will it be like the Kugane situation? So they've only stated that the city of Sharlayan and the zone Labyrinthos would be available. We've seen nothing else to indicate any other area in Sharlayan would be playable. Probably dungeons or future content that will allow us to explore other parts of the island, but that's all we know for certain are Labyrinthos and Old Sharlayan itself. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, how you doing? You doing alright? I'm doing alright. You doing alright? I'm doing alright. I wanted to pick your brain. I honestly, I started reading where you said, I hope you're doing alright, and I was like, okay, wait, I answered that. Let me just move on. Wanted to pick your brain about first-time Savage clears. What's your thought process and mentality when trying to figure mechanics out? Endwalker will be the first expansion I experience in real time, and I'd love to attempt Savage blind, but I know my critical thinking and powers of deduction are not quite tuned to a debut Savage. It's a lot of just basic deduction after years of playing the game. If you, for example, spread out for an AoE and one person just dies, odds are it's a stack marker, because why would just one person randomly get targeted for that? Now, if you stack and that doesn't work, then perhaps it's a ranged tank buster, for example. Maybe it's the furthest player away gets targeted. So it's a matter of, the same way you would troubleshoot like a PC issue or anything, you just go through like a checklist of, okay, what do I want to try first? Okay, that didn't work. What are we trying second? And eventually you just kind of logic your way into the answer for things, If you see the boss doing different animations for the same name of attack, then you know it's probably in-out mechanics or stack spread mechanics. It's always safe to kind of just make spread positions ahead of time and determine stat groups ahead of time, just in case you do have to do things like that in the first place. And it's just about looking at the available space you have. A lot of the times mechanics that look really crazy are very structured. There's a very set way that you can go about it with some slight variations that may allow more min-maxing or optimization, but a lot of things are very common sense, and they give you a decent amount of feedback on what it is you need to actually do to pass them. So it's just about getting that experience in the first place, then you can break it down. I've considered doing a video about identifying mechanics and how we went about it week 1 and figuring out certain strats and whatnot. And I think that would be a pretty fun video to do, just once I have a voice again. All right, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays, hashtag Mr. Happy Gaming, and we watch. Okay, well, thanks. Hey, Mr. Happy, how are you? Hope you're doing all right. I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Can you please clarify what Endwalker Early Access allows you to do? Everything. It's full release. Essentially, anything that would be on the release day is in Early Access. The only thing that Early Access would prevent... Okay, let's say... Okay, here's a good example. Let's say that you don't own Shadowbringers, right? You want to wait for Endwalker to come out because that'll give you access to Shadowbringers automatically. You know, that's how it always works. You need to own the base game and the most recent expansion or the all-in-one package. And I know quite a few people who are doing this. You would not, as somebody without Shadowbringers, be able to access it until the 23rd. You can't play it during the pre-order time without already owning Shadowbringers. So that's about the only thing, is if you're somebody who's specifically waiting for Endwalker to come out before you purchase it so you can get access to the earlier expansions, that you wouldn't be able to do until after Early Access itself is done, so on the 23rd. That's like it. I think that also... the boosts in the Mog Station for the new, like, 10 levels below max, I think those don't release until the 23rd also in that case, but that's about it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, hello, 3, thank you, hi. Do you think Final Fantasy IV Remaster is worth to play lore-wise in connection to 14? So just to be clear, this may just be worded poorly, but there is no lore connection between Final Fantasy XIV and other Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy XIV will frequently use references or lore from other games to establish its universe, but they're not connected. Final Fantasy IV's world is not part of 14, so I think, based on the way you're asking, you just mean for reference sake, and it could be fun, but it's not going to be that important. Hi, hashtag Mr. Happy. That's a different way of doing it, but I'll take it. So it's been seen that a lot of jobs from the live letter were not drastically changed and further continued, such as Gunbreaker or Red Mage, mostly having follow-through skills and upgrades. So people were disappointed with the lack of changes. Do you feel the same way, or is this actually better for the Sprouts and new players? They at least have jobs that will mostly know and not be overwhelmed. It depends. If a job's identity is very solid, they've got a great foundation, there's no point in just shaking it up for the sake of shaking it up. That being said, you can also make sure that the reveal for certain things are exciting. I have a feeling with especially the tanks from the live letter that what's underneath ends up being a little bit more intriguing and or potentially disappointing than what we actually saw in the job action trailer, because it's the little things about the job that annoy people now that they're hoping are addressed, and then you add new things on top of that, and it just makes for the experience you already enjoyed but enhanced and improved. So I have no issue with this, but I am excited to see some jobs get some more drastic changes that I think will open up their gameplay a little bit more, especially jobs like Monk and Summoner. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello there, Haps. Long-time watcher, first-time asker. Welcome. And this was asked under an hour ago. Endwalker is so close now. I always look forward to the new X-Pack because of all the hype, especially around the first day of streams and memes. Will you be co-streaming like before going solo? So I'm assuming you're meaning, because I didn't co-stream before. What we had is one of my mods, friends, and a fellow streamer, Tequila Shots, come to my home, stay with me for a week, and then we would run a 24/7 stream. Obviously, that's not going to be the easiest thing to do this time around. So him and I are considering potentially doing, like, he'll stream on his own channel, but I'll host his stream as like a featured stream, or I can give him my stream key during that time, and he can then log into my channel while I'm asleep and then stream that, and then I'd let him know. I personally think, and I expressed this to him, that him streaming on his own channel and just making sure that he's live at a set time and then I can feature it on my stream is probably the best middle ground around this. The only problem is that Twitch automatically restarts streams 48 hours in, but I think it restarts them. I don't think you have to turn them off and on, so I think it might not actually be that much of an issue. So I gotta remember, I gotta talk to him and remember. But I think that's what we're going to do, because I do like 16 hours a day, and then he can do whatever he wants, but I'll just try to ask him, like, hey, can you be live for like this 8-hour stretch of time? And yeah, but that's about it. That's about all I have. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Happy Monday. How are you? Hello, I'm doing fine. Hope the same for you. I've been playing 14 since 2.0 and watching your content for almost as long, but this is the first time I'm finally asking a question. Welcome. Do you think they'll ever increase the cap on poetics? Come Endwalker will be buying 50, 60, 70, 80 gear with it, and 2,000 just seems like a low cap considering how much stuff it's used for. Yeah, but you don't frequently buy those things. Those are kind of like fringe purchases that you do on occasion. Not to mention the rate at which you actually re-obtain them is insanely high. I'm sure there's a data reason on the back end why they can't go over 2,000 and why they probably won't ever allocate resources to going over 2,000. So I'm going to say no. I don't think they should. I don't think they need to. And I think there's probably some technical stuff that's left over from 2.0's release on the back end that probably makes it harder than we think. All right. And for the sake of my voice, I think I can lightning round. There's not really much that I kind of forced into the lightning round. There was some stuff with replies that had like, okay answer. Somebody asked about like the leveling all jobs achievement. Someone asked me about the lore of Sabik. I don't have that knowledge offhand, so I couldn't really commit to answering that question. There was another one here. Who was asking about Gordius, and the replies went pretty in-depth, and I don't think I need to elaborate on why Gordius I felt was going to be the death of the game again. Someone asked me about NPCs appearing in Dragonsong War Ultimate. I mean, I think I tweeted about Hoshfont very likely appearing on Twitter the other day. Isael wouldn't surprise me. Estinian's a given, and honestly, I also think... What was the last one? There was one other one I was thinking about there when it comes to Dragonsong War Ultimate. There's definitely going to be some reference. Oh, Hraesvelgr as an ally though, not as a boss. We'll see though, because I suspect that Hraesvelgr's eyes are going to play a very important role in Dragonsong War Ultimate, basically being the woken / true heart mechanic kind of thing, where you'll have to be empowered by Hraesvelgr by doing some stuff in a kind of unexpected way. So that's the headcanon that I'm holding on to. There's someone clarifying somebody's question from last week about the poetics cap, but it seems like that's pretty much covered most everything I could have adjusted my opinion about from last week. Somebody asked, and then they also asked what I was maining for Endwalker. I won't know until I get to play any of it. Like, I'm going to start by leveling a couple things, and realistically, I just have to kind of get a feel for what I want to level and then pick a main from that. So I don't know 100% for what I'm going to be maining for the expansion. If it'll even be one thing. Maybe I just main multiple things this expansion. Honestly, with how the last few weeks have been going, where I played Black Mage, Warrior, White Mage, Scholar, Monk, Dancer, Machinist. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just play whatever from this point on. And I just don't care about what my actual main even is. Then let's see. What else? Crazy. This one was asking about like the WoW refugees being criticized for like the way they rate. I don't even have the energy to talk about that. People just are too fucking concerned about shit that doesn't involve them. Not you. I mean the people who are just like, they just dedicate their time to that whole situation, which is nothing to do. It's just people playing a game. It's like people just need to get over it, man. It's so weird seeing people being so invested in what other people are doing to like a negative degree. It's like, bro, just go do something else with your life. Do something positive. Touch the grass. I don't know. Do something. Do anything, please. Not you again. I'm just the general consensus around the type of people you're referring to that are harassing the WoW refugees who are coming in and doing things kind of in their mindset in their own way. Let's see. Someone asked me if the stat squish will affect Blue Mage's overpoweredness or maybe make it a full job. No, Blue Mage is never going to be a full job. And honestly, it probably will affect it, but since we know we have Enhanced Echo now, it probably won't be too bad. The question is, can you have Enhanced Echo on Blue Mage, since Enhanced Echo is supposed to fix imbalance issues with the stat squish, but Blue Mage stuff requires you to not have Echo, so... question mark there. I'll say that's at least a reasonable question if you take everything I just said into account. Class looks, yeah, and I had a bunch of people ask me like what class looked the most interesting from the trailer, and I answered that once, so I just decided to skip over any repeats of those, so apologies for that. And what else? What are my 5 favorite video games? I don't have an answer. I just like Final Fantasy and Devil May Cry. That's all I really need to go with for that one. And I think that was it. I think that's all that I had to answer. There might have been like one other comment about stuff. The very first thing I saw when I actually opened it, but I skipped past it because it was called a lightning round question. What creature or entity from any Final Fantasy game which you want as a minion, I have Conditional Virtue, and that would have been my answer. So Absolute Virtue, and we have it already. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And if you have a question, ask it in the comment section of the video below. But with that, I'm going to go let my voice rest for a couple of hours before I get to raid. And that'll be it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. And until then, take care.